The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan, themorganreport.com for the weekly perspective for the week ending 24 September 2021. Well, let me talk a little bit about here on the blog. A very popular interview between myself, well, it was John Claude that did the interview with myself and Cliff High. Touched on a lot about silver, but also a lot of other very important topics in today's wackadoodle world. So if you haven't listened to it, you might consider that. Also like to point out over here that this Onex area here used to be called Silver Saver. It is you can lock in your silver price pretty near spot because you get a portion of a silver 1,000-ounce bar. And so you're buying your spot, but the premiums, if you convert, are going to be high because all the premiums across the board are right now. So there isn't a lot of advantage to it unless you can buy, silver near spot. You're buying, what you'd see on the exchange, on the COMEX. And then if you wait for premiums to come down, you can do quite well. But premiums really have stayed high, and they did dip a while ago. Rather significantly, but not as much as what I've called normal, and they have started back up. So it's something to bear in mind. I got a question from one of our readers today about another system that lets you buy into bars on that kind of same methodology. I don't think it's as good as this one is, but I am biased. I have been with these guys pretty much from the inception. So we have the weekend here, and then next Monday and Tuesday is the first Silver Symposium, and it will be at the Coeur d'Alene Resort, which you can see over here on the right, where hopefully you can see my cursor. It is a beautiful location, as you can tell from this, 2 days away, as I just said. There'll be lots of presenters, one-on-one meetings with the companies, lots of exhibitors. Jeff Clark from goldsilver.com, Economic Ninja, who, a shooting star. He's been well received by the internet community. Myself, of course, David Smith that works with us, and others that are here. Wall Street Silver will be there. I don't think the Happy Hawaiian is coming, but there'll be golf. It's, pretty well thought out event. It is the first time, so it'll be interesting. It's free to attend, but we will see, and you can see that a fair amount of exhibitors here, which is good. This is what we want. You got some majors. You got hecklers coming. Of course, they're in this, area that we're in. They basically are in the Silver Valley, and other places. I mean, it's a global corp, but they're headquartered in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Silver Valley Metals out of Silver Valley, Kootenai Silver, Black Rock, a lot of them. So New Jersey, that's local. So I'll leave it at that. If you are attending, please try to get my attention. I'd love to meet anybody that follows my work, even on a partial basis. It would be nice to meet you. So the stock markets have been tested here recent. As I said, I think last week, we were at the 50-day moving average. And there's just a lot of going on with this Evergrande situation in China, this major real estate situation. And this is, of course, unresolved at this time. You've got the extreme that it's going to, take down the whole financial system to it's a big yawn. It's another, big, much ado about nothing. It's a huge deal, but it'll be resolved, and it's not going to have that much impact. Obviously, my take is it's somewhere between those two extremes. It's, again, unresolved, so I'm trying to keep calm and cool about it, but we don't know. I think the biggest news right now is what I just put on my Twitter feed, which is that China deems all cryptocurrency transactions illegal. And this is something I think that everyone that's in the crypto space should pay attention to. This why it matters in bold. China's government is now following through with its goal of cracking down on unofficial virtual currencies. So let me pause there. unofficial virtual currencies. Why? Because China has an official central bank digital currency. They're the first major nation state to implement one. So they don't want any competition. You use the CCP's virtual currency, and that's it. You don't have a choice. You get one. Your choice is one, theirs. And it goes on to say, which it has said are a financial to them, social and national security risk, and a contributor to global warming. So China, as I said in my premium service, represents 60% of all mining activity for Bitcoin. And if you add on Iran and a couple other friendlies to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, it represents about 70% of the market. So what are they going to do? Are they going to shut down their mining? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying they are. What I am saying is buyer beware. I just checked. Bitcoin's up at the $42,000 level right now. So if you're overexposed, you might take heed of what this article is talking about and act accordingly, or don't. And this one final thought, this is not I told you so, although it may sound that way. I did write an article years ago, my 2 bits about Bitcoin. I said, look, who cares what I think? What's the market think? But if the market thinks it's really a good thing and it gets to be too powerful, watch out, because governments, authorities, or regulators may come after it. And I think that's the point we've hit. I think we're at a point now where China says ours and nothing else if you are owned by the Chinese Communist Party. So again, buyer beware. Balanced portfolios are usually best. Even I advocate up to about 20% in the precious metals. Am I overexposed? Higher than that? Yes, I am. But it's my specialty, and I feel comfortable being there. But for most people, you need to balance, your resource portfolio, your stocks, your real estate, everything else. And if you do that, usually you can ride out situations that may really do poorly for a while. Harry Brown had the permanent portfolio. You might look it up on the internet, the permanent portfolio. I'm sure there's information out there. I don't think they have a fund anymore. They used to. And it's, real common sense, stocks, bonds, real estates, precious metals. And I don't think he had speculations in there. And you just rebalance once a year. And, if you did what he taught, which was common sense, almost ridiculously simple, it was a pretty solid way to build wealth over time. I'll leave it at that. Just a little reiteration. This is Stuart Varney saying crackdowns have turned China into a truly totalitarian state. Well, I think we could say that about a lot of nation states today, Stuart. They again cracked down on cryptos, basically what I already said. It's been a long list of crackdowns that China has turned China into a total totalitarian state. Xi Jinping, leader for life, I think he's worried, he's nervous about China's huge real estate sector. It's riddled with debt, and it's, of course, Evergrande again. So lots happening. You don't want any leverage. You want to, whatever you own it outright. Build cash, stand aside, and wait. That would be what I'm doing. You might want to follow that lead or not. One of the big things that was debatable, it doesn't seem to be as much of a debate, was if this inflation thing was transitory or not. There was an argument to be made that it was, and I was not leaning that direction, but not totally dismissing it because of the forbearance coming off and a lot of the people that had been basically unable or willing or just wishing to not pay their mortgages, even if they could, for 6 months. And a lot of people couldn't pay it anyway, and that was ending. And that's deflationary. A lot of people, unfortunately, will probably lose their homes and have to relocate. Regardless, this inflation seems to be here to stay and getting worse, as I have said way back. That watch out. You're going to see it in food. You're going to see it in energy. And that's the two places that most Americans notice it, or most North Americans. Most people don't know a thing about the bond market, a thing about the stock market. They know the names. They know they exist. They don't know the difference between a bond and a stock. All they do know is that they're eking out a living. They might have a bank account and put some savings in that. They're familiar with crypto making people rich. And they're basically just steadily holding fast to what they have and just barely making ends meet or not. Having said all that, Costco, Nike, and FedEx are warning there's more inflation set to hit consumers as the holiday approaches. Plus, of course, the shipping situation, supply chain, what's happened in the food supply deliberately, and the food, the grains as well, some deliberately, some nature, with the locust thing that was never really talked about, and the weather changes and everything else that's going on. So get prepared. I think we are in for some more and more interesting times ahead. So the more that you can consolidate and keep your life simplified, I think the better off you will be. This is an article from goldsilver.com. Internet freedom on the decline in U.S. and globally, study finds. I think that's obvious to all of us that are on the internet, especially as frequently as most of you are. The yearly study, which has been published since 1973, uses a standardized index to measure the internet freedom, country on a 100-point scale, and ask a bunch of questions if you're free or less free or more free. Basically, it's obvious from the headline what the conclusion is, and it is we are losing our freedom. I was out with friends on a hunt very recently, beginning of the week, and redid one of my earlier videos from 9 years ago, and I talked about the precious metals and preservation of wealth. And halfway through that video, I said, this pales in comparison to a more important factor, which is freedom. If you can't go where you want to go, say what you want to say, buy what you want to buy, travel, then what good is a big pile of gold or silver? It doesn't really mean a whole lot if you've lost your freedom. So I got on from there, and the guys were kind of taken back, I guess, that, I did that video 9 years ago. Obviously, I saw it coming. I couldn't have made that video without seeing it coming, but it's getting worse almost by the day. There are things that are worth standing up for, and of course, those are personal choices. But to speak the truth to power, as I say often on these weekly updates, may be difficult, but it's very powerful. And most authoritarians are not as confident as they appear once you confront them with the truth, because there is nothing more powerful than the truth. And when it smacks them straight in the face, sometimes they're gobsmacked and they don't know exactly how to react. So I'll leave it there. Trying times for all of us. Stay well, be kind, be good, consolidate, simplify. And I will be back with you next week after the Silver Symposium, and I'll probably have a few words about that on this weekly update next week.